You go to list your product on Amazon, you type in your brand name, Amazon shows brand name approval required, so you click apply, and that's when you see the requirements. You have to submit photos of your product or packaging with your brand name permanently affixed. But what if your inventory is already manufactured and your packaging doesn't have your brand name printed on it? Now you're thinking you might have to reprint everything just to get approved. Well, the good news is you don't. There's a simple workaround that meets Amazon's requirements and is fast, inexpensive, and doesn't require remanufacturing your inventory. I've used it dozens of times and it's always worked so far. In this video, I'll show you this tactic and the specific details you need to get right so your application gets approved the first time. When you apply for brand name approval, Amazon asks for photos showing your brand name permanently affixed to the product or its packaging. Now, sometimes brands think this means every unit they sell from now on must have the brand name printed directly on the product or the box. That's not the case. Amazon is just wanting to check that the brand name is correct and real. The way they do that is to make sure the brand name has been printed on a physical product or packaging at least once. When your brand name is approved, you can then create listings under that brand name as much as you want. Amazon does not recheck and make you do this again and again, and they aren't going to require your brand name to necessarily be on the product or all the packaging that you sell through Amazon. This is a one-time approval. There is something you should definitely not do. Do not check the box that says this product does not have a brand name. When you click that, Amazon automatically lists your product as generic. This does make it so that you can list the product without getting brand name approval, but 99% of the time you do not want to do that. This causes a ton of problems down the road. If you want a full breakdown of why listing as generic is usually a mistake, I have an entire video explaining that. I'll link to it up above and in the description of this video. You do not need to list as generic, you just need one compliant example of your brand name being used on a product or packaging of a product. Here's how you get it. Usually, you'll just want to use the box you already have for your product, then go to Etsy and order a custom vinyl decal for your brand name. For those who aren't aware, Etsy is a website where people will make usually customized products for people. It's all independent sellers and the sellers all make the items themselves. Make sure the brand name exactly matches the brand name you're applying under. Capitalization on your logo doesn't matter, but spelling, special characters, and punctuation do. If you have a trademark, make sure the brand name you're using matches your trademark so that in the future you can get brand registered if you want to. Brand registered is something else from brand name approval. Have the Etsy seller mail it to you, and when it arrives, you just stick it on the box. Now do a good job with it. It may not be bad to order 2 or 3 decals just in case you mess up installing it the first time. You can look up directions on how to apply vinyl really well. Make sure there's no wrinkles, no peeling edges. Make it look professional. Place your product inside the box and take real, unedited photos from multiple angles. Show the full box, show different sides, make sure every letter of the brand name is clearly readable and not blurry at all. Now, sometimes people think this won't meet the permanently affixed requirement because it's just vinyl. I've done this many times over several years, and it has worked every single time as long as everything else in the application matches correctly. So in practice, vinyl has been completely fine. If you're worried about the vinyl at all, there is a second option, which is to order one custom printed box with your brand name on it. Etsy is usually the easiest place to do this as well because many sellers allow very small quantities. The downside of this approach is if you're using UPC codes, the UPC must also be printed on that box as well, and that's harder to have an Etsy seller do. If you're not using UPCs at all, then that's fine, you don't need it. When you go to list the product for the first time, you would just check the box of this product doesn't have a product ID, and it will apply for a GTIN exemption at the same time using the same application that you're using to apply for your brand name approval. Now, once you have either the vinyl decal or the custom box ready, you do need to make sure you take good pictures. Take real photos, don't edit them in Canva to make them look nice, don't take out the background or don't take them in a light box or anything. If it's small enough, include at least one photo where you're holding the product in your hand. That helps Amazon to know that the image is not AI generated. If you've gotten rejected and they still think it's computer generated, you can even take a picture where your hand is causing a shadow to be over the product, and that will fix that problem. If you get those details right, you can submit the application and Amazon will usually get back to you after a few days. So if your inventory is already manufactured and your packaging doesn't have your brand name printed on it, That does not mean you have to list your product as generic or redesign your products. However, once your brand name is approved, the next thing you need to think about is brand registry. Brand registry gives you additional tools like A+ content, sponsored brand ads, a brand store, and for new brand registered sellers, you can get a referral discount equal to 10% of your sales in the beginning. In the next video, I break down exactly what brand registry does, what it doesn't do, and whether it makes sense for your brand. Click right here to watch that next.